Hey, you're watching HuffPost Live. I'm Mark Lamont Hill. Ian's making me laugh. The Vampire Diaries are back. It's the hit show, and it kicks off its fourth season on the CW network tonight. And joining me to discuss it is one of the show's stars, the actor, the model, the guy that everybody on my production team has been asking me about for the last 48 hours, Ian Somerhalder. Man, good to see you.
Hey, man, good to see you as well.
Always good, man. So tell me about
the model. Where did that come from? Oh, you mean model citizen?
Model citizen, that's what it is. They say you're a model.
I haven't been a model in, I don't even know.
You stopped modeling in like high school,
15 years or something.
Yeah, but...
But I'll be your model.
They still treat you like a model. I can't, like, people are walking by, they've been coming to check my mic. No one cares about me, man, but they've been coming today just because you're here. It's like an excuse.
I doubt that's the case, but I'm with you.
Oh, cool, man. Well, tell me about the new season.
The new season's now kind of old. We're in the end of our fourth season, man.
Yeah.
I just realized we're shooting episode 85.
Wow.
A lot of storytelling.
That's tough, man. Because episode 85 means that people are watching it. It's getting renewed. This show is a real hit. I mean, you're one of the biggest reasons why. But why do you think people connect with the show so much?
I think, first of all, there's a lot of hot girls on the show.
That's true.
But no, I think that the writing, there's something this show resonates with a lot of people because the writing is very solid and the work that goes into the show. It's a lot of work,
yeah.
and we try very hard, and we fight tooth and nail to try and live those moments as true as possible, as truthfully as possible. And I think that resonates with people. And this whole vampire thing, it's still out there, and it's a bit of a craze for now. And I think it's just sort of a good basis of storytelling. People like something that's dangerous and sexy at the same time.
Exactly. But not everyone does it well. Some of the vampire things become corny, they become hokey, but you guys do it in a way that really attracts the audience, and it's smart.
Well, we'll probably get to the hokey part. It's coming.
It's
coming. Don't worry.
It's like episode 100. No. You guys have good judgment. I actually trust what you're doing.
No, I appreciate that.
Did you expect this to be one of the roles that really catapulted you into just another level of like superstardom?
Well, you hope. You never know. There was a funny, I remember, and to quote Julie Plec in the beginning of season 1, when the show first started taking off, she said, when someone said, "Hey, Julie, did you expect that this would happen?" She says, "Well, you never know, but we secretly wanted to rule the world." and you look at the numbers and how the analytics break down of something like this, and it's massive. I mean, you're talking 50 million plus people in China alone, and then you have the rest of the world in the United States and South and Central America. It's huge, all over North America. I mean, it's grown, and it's an amazing thing to be a part of. And the other thing is it's gotten me to a place where I can come and sit and have a chat with you here.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's very nice. You're being humble.
No, well, I'm saying, otherwise, we wouldn't be here having a conversation.
No, that's true. But I want to point to your humility again, though, because you are considered to be one of the most men in America. All the lists, all the people, oh, come on. Everyone's saying it, right? I mean, how does that feel?
I feel that there's a copious quantity of love. That's what I'm feeling. You're feeling a lot of love, man.
Does it ever get to your head? I mean, does it ever go, oh, I do? You ever look in the mirror,
I'm so tired of looking at myself. Seriously, because we shoot about 210 days a year.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
And that's a couple hundred days a year of you making sure that you look reasonably like you think you should, and it's all day this, getting your lines, doing this. So even now when I walk by buildings, there's a reflective surface. I just look away.
You look away.
I look away. I have enough of a relationship with myself. I don't need to see myself all the time.
Right. I appreciate the humility. I think part of why you're so humble, though, is not just because you're a good guy, but because you weren't like a child star. You didn't grow up in this business. You weren't like 6 years old, 6 months old in like commercials. You grew up working class, working class parents.
I had to work.
Yeah.
I had to work. And I'm glad that that's the case. I think now, in hindsight, which is always 2020.
Right, of course.
But now, I think understanding that work ethic, how old are you?
I'm 34.
I'm 34. We came from...
Now I feel like a failure, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
You just lowered my self-esteem.
Come on. But you know what I mean? We came from a generation that video game... By the way, when we were younger, we still went out and played.
Yes,
we climbed
outside,
trees,
real air.
We made things out of our radio flyers. We pushed each other down hills. We made rope swings, all kinds of things. kids, unfortunately, now, due to massive urbanization and video games, I mean, the code that these things are written in, the 3D aspects of our digital media have really sucked kids out of playing in trees, getting in fights with fists or sticks as opposed to guns and knives. And this generation is a very challenged generation. I honestly think it's a very amazing time to grow up. It's also a very tough time to grow up right now.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that the most thing that we can do is instill a great work ethic in young people. And that's what we're doing. ISF, which is not mine, let me rephrase that, our foundation.
Yeah.
We're building this farm down in Louisiana. It's called the Epicentarium. What we're doing is we're building this, it's a youth education camp. It's an animal sanctuary, but it's a youth education camp and a green sustainable agriculture farm. But what we're going to do with this camp, man, is teach kids, because if you want change, it has to be generational, because the bureaucracies that are in place with you and me and everyone in this room, they're not going to necessarily change.
Right.
So if you want that change, it's got to be generational. So if we can educate and activate and empower the kids coming up now, I say kids, the young people now, then you have your paradigm shift. These are the people that are going to be voting for lawmakers. They're going to be the ones running the world. So I think if we can empower them and give them the best tools necessary, then we're set.
I think you're right.
If we don't do that, we're screwed.
I think it really is that simple.
You know what I mean?
You have a really interesting take on the world. I mean, unlike some people in sports or celebrity entertainment worlds, you actually care about what's going on in the world. You watch news, you think about things that are going on in the world.
Well, you have to absorb, man. You have to, as you do. I mean, look, you are in an epicenter of information.
Very much so.
And you're literally, it's coming to you at all angles, at all costs. But it's also providing you a certain outlook on the world. And if you're a sponge to that, and I just came from, have you ever been to South by Southwest?
Yeah.
My goodness, I was there this weekend, man. I have never experienced anything like that in my life. I mean, honestly, the greatest minds in the world in Austin, Texas, drinking bourbon.
Right.
Talking about rocket science at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
People who are developing those technologies. The guys that invented and founded Google, Facebook, Twitter. The social media moguls who literally changed the information sharing of the world. And I realized in that moment, I said, Saturday, I said, wow, man, this is the most important place in the world to be right now. It was in Austin, Texas this weekend. I've never seen anything like it. So it gives me hope and now new renewed understanding and sort of, this insatiable thirst to just learn more and meet more of these people. Because as much as but people don't want to admit it, Silicon Valley and new technologies and innovations, they're what's going to push us forward.
That's what's going to recover this economy. That's the next big boom.
I agree.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
But it has to be done sustainably.
Right.
It's crazy, man. I've been here hanging in New York with some friends of mine that have this company, and they just developed this thing. And it's people think I'm the biggest nerd because I get so excited about this stuff. It's literally the coolest invention since the light bulb. It is a light bulb, actually, but it's an LED light bulb.
I was going to say the LED work you've been doing with Cree.
It's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Cree, they developed, it looks like an incandescent bulb, but it's an LED, and it uses 84% less energy. Wow. They give you a 10-year warranty. It's a light bulb.
Wow.
So if you can imagine that and conceptualize that and say it's 10, 12, 13 bucks at Home Depot now, on a mass consumer market, it's going to change the game. And if you can decrease our need for power, because I think you and I and everyone in this room can safely argue that our insatiable thirst is sort of for energy is what's driving our global economy. It's also what's driving our environment into the ground, our health, everything.
Yeah.
So if we can decrease that need on a mass scale, I think we're just going to win, and we're going to get better and better and better. And I'm really stoked that there are people out there inventing this stuff and coming up with these new technologies. I have a green technology company. It's called Go Green Mobile Power, and we're literally leasing eco light towers, greening the oil and gas industry.
Wow. And
the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Defense, all these ginormous organizations, and actually Cree, they build our lights for us. But because of LED technology, we can run lights for all sorts of operations at 90% less power.
Wow.
So that's the future.
That's the future. No, that is. Let me ask you a question, because there's some things circulating in the world. and I know you've been following the environment. There's also this political struggle that's going on. Then there's also an event that happened yesterday, right? The new pope was elected. I know you were raised Catholic. Was there any? Did you have any response to yesterday? Did you?
You know what's funny? To be honest with you, and I'm going to sound like such an idiot. Yesterday was truly it was one of the busiest days I've ever had in my career, in my life. So we were just focus. And then this morning, and last night it came up at dinner over my head. And then this morning, I see that there's a new pope because I was going to do Anderson Live, which I was so stoked about. But he is in Europe now, obviously covering that, which I'm grateful for him to do. But that's when it hit me that there was some serious stuff going on over there. Yeah. Was that I wasn't doing Anderson anymore.
Right. For them to cancel you, only the Pope, that should make you feel good. Only the Pope can bump your spot.
Right?
You know what
exactly.
I mean? Let me ask you a question. You love animals. You talked about animals.
Love them, man.
Is there ever a moment on the show where, because vampires drink blood of animals.
Yeah.
Are there any weird moments where you're like, yeah, I like the script, I like the plot, but this kind of conflicts with what I think animals should be doing?
Here's the thing, I appreciate that statement or that question, but for me, I work with this woman named Ivana Chubbuck. She's probably the greatest acting coach in the world. I guess she literally is. And we work in, basically weaving the thread of life into text, meaning you're pulling from your life experiences, past, present, and future, and putting them into the text. So you're like weaving this cloak. Well, one thing I've learned that you can never do is judge your character. So Damon is a pretty dangerous dude. I mean, he's not as dangerous as he was in season 1, but I can't judge him. Damon is the guy, whether he was ripping off your head or saving a kitten out of a tree, he would have the same smirk on his face. They're all the same to him.
Right.
So, or if he was saving you from a tree and, ripping a kitten apart.
Right.
I know it sounds so crazy, especially for an animal lover, but it's just...
You're able to make that separation.
You have to, and so I don't ever judge Damon. Yes, he definitely does things I would have a lot of conflict with.
Right. But even like working with live animals, all that stuff, there's never been like a moment of conflict for you.
As long as animals are treated with respect and compassion and they're taken care of, it's all interaction. I do tend to dislike a great deal animals used in entertainment. I just do. The circus makes me want to jump off a building.
Yeah.
Totally. These animals, there's no reason, and I know it's cool for kids to see, but there's just no reason you need, 6,000-pound elephants in captivity, living lives of total isolation and abuse. I mean, it's 2013, man. It's really not, and I'm definitely not trying to offend anyone. Obviously, if I say something that offends someone, I'm not. That's not my intention.
I know.
But it's those types of things. A little statistic: there are more tigers in captivity in Texas than there are in the wild.
Really?
How sad is that?
That is sad.
So
I'm not surprised it's Texas, though, man.
I know, right? Everything's bigger, but it also raises the bigger question: habitat conservation. Habitats globally are disappearing for animals, and what we have to do is we have to find the sound economics of conservation. How do we conserve more acreage and get more out of it? Well, the more rainforest you have left, the cleaner our air is going to be. You know what I mean? If you can for a second step back, and so people say protect the environment, but think about this for a second. What is the environment? You would typically think that it's the natural world that surrounds us, right? Well, and I learned this a great deal from Deepak Chopra. If you can consider us no different than our environment, meaning we're all the same biological process, right? Yeah. You figure the trees of the world are our lungs. I mean, look at coral or a tree. They're the same as the human lung. Look at the Amazon River system. It's like a carbon copy of the human cardiovascular system. So if you can imagine the trees are our lungs and the waterways and river systems are our cardiovascular systems, carrying nutrients to all the proper organs. Well, if you start cutting all the trees, cutting out parts of your lungs, guess what? You can't breathe. If you start polluting all of your waterways that's supposed to be carrying all these nutrients inland and outland, delivering all these nutrients to certain organs, what happens? They start shutting down. So the physical body can't live. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So our bodies are sort of a mirror
That's what,
of that broader.
So that's what we're doing.
That's amazing work. Now I want to bring our